Hi everyone, Happy New Year. We are back today with another episode of the Power Series. And today what we're going to do is we're going to do the basic functions of a patch statement. Now with the Canvas app last year, what we did is we spent a very long time, and I apologize it was a long video, but we spent a long time building out the complexities of the dates and the day rates, etc. So today, nice and short video where we're going to focus on getting the data into the Dataverse tables. And then next week, we'll follow it through with some more complex calculations around how we can budget and assume account-based items moving forward. So, jumping straight in. Now, what I have done, just because to titivate slightly, is the only thing that's changed since last year is I've now placed in some dates where I've made the text a little bit smaller, and I've placed in a drop down which will allow the user to select whether it's going to be an AM or a PM booking. Other than that, there's really not much I've done. I have added in a remove statement or changed the remove statement to a different icon, but we're just going to jump straight in with a patch statement. And to do so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this button that I like to use, I'm going to copy and paste it, and I'm just going to call it, I don't know, load, like it was previously. And I'm going to take all of the code in here and I'm going to get rid. Now, what we need to do is, I've got the Dataverse table over here, so if we were to assume that we were making a new booking through the Dataverse or the model-driven app, then all we would do is we would jump into the table, we'd click New, and from here we'd have a name, a status, a start date, an end date, and a duration. Now next week what I'm going to do is I'm going to load this with some other fields where we can start to work out booking profits, total day rates, etc., so that we can start to then place charts at the end and work out our accounting. However, these are the fields that I need to focus on today. So name, status, duration, start and end. Start date and end date are both date fields. Duration choice is a choice, so this will be fun to place in. And then booking status is a lookup, so we need to manage those ones accordingly. So if we swap back over, we'll work straight on this. Now I'm going to focus immediately, or in the initial, I'm going to just focus on getting some records in there. Because we need to remember that we're not just submitting one record. If I select 2 or 3, we're submitting, three individual records. 4 ton more against these days that we're now adding at each time. Potentially, we're also going to be dealing with different times here, because the start time for an all day might be 9 till 5, an AM is 9 till 12, a PM is 1 till 5, etc. So we need to work these through. Now to do so, I'm going to come over here and we're going to start this off. So I'm going to say ForAll, we're going to utilize the ForAll functionality, which allows me to go into col dates. So now that I'm inside col dates, I'm now going to patch. And I'm going to patch into the bookable resource booking table. I like to write defaults. You don't necessarily need to write defaults. It will assume that you're going to create new if you don't put something in here. Your other option, instead of writing defaults, would be to use a lookup, where you then go into the table and you find the record that you're going to overwrite. Instead, I'm just going to leave it as defaults because we are submitting something new. And then I'm going to come down and I'm going to say that I want to just place something in at the moment, which is booking name. Let's have a look at what that's called as a logical name. P365 booking name. So I'm going to look for the column. So I'm going to open into the columns and I'm going to look for booking name. Now in here, why don't we take the naming convention can be the date that we're submitting, so the individual record's date, against the client and project, and then also maybe the duration, so that the person or the user can immediately have a look at what's going on their calendar at a glance. So if we do let's put text of the call date, and we'll format it in the sense of military naming conventions, DD, and we'll close that off, and then we'll also say, and we'll put a hyphen with another ampersand, and we'll then have the, do I have account in here? Where am I storing account? Let's have a look at the, I've got it over there on the drop down, so we'll do dd account dot selected dot name. Yep, that'll do. and then we'll do what am I looking for? Speech marks, and we'll put semicolon perhaps, and dd project dot selected dot name, and let's do speech marks, open it into a bracket, speech marks, and then we'll do call, what have I got in here? Let's do dd dd, yeah, that's not going to take that drop down unless I change this into the gallery. Let's do in here, let's do an onChange function where we patch into call dates, lookup call dates. Let's use this item, and then we'll patch the call duration text to be self.selected dot call duration text, and then we'll do call duration value, which is self.selected dot call duration value. And I'll show you this duration collection in a second. There's nothing crazy going on there. So we'll do that as an onChange, which if we just test that and I say that the 8th needs to become AM, and we have a look at collections, call dates, the 8th is now AM, perfect, those haven't changed. But if I do PM, collections, call dates, PM, perfect. Alright, so in here then I can then take that call, call duration text and speech mark, close the bracket off. That would technically, hopefully, close the patch, close the ForAll. That should, although I think we've got a mandatory field in start and end date, so I'm not going to be able to submit that yet, but let's put start and end date in, and then we'll do a test. So if I do start date, now start date's not quite as simple as we hoped, because the start date is simple, sorry. No, actually it's not, because we need to work out the time. If it's a PM booking, the time is going to be in the future. However, for now, all I'm going to do is we'll come back and amend it. I'm just going to see if it lets me put call date. We'll just see if it lets me put it in. Now let's put 2 of them in, so I don't have to delete too many. Click load. Duration choice is also required. Okay, cool. That's not an issue. Duration choice is going to be, now we've got a choice. Let's see if it lets me do the text. It's not going to, is it? Right, that's because, so what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with a complex field type. Now I'm going to hack this in for now. Because it's a choice value within Dataverse is actually represented by a number. So this is just like an OData format that's overlaid on top, but the system only really sees numbers, doesn't it? So this is actually numbers. Now I could do a drop down in here where I look at this choice field, and then I'd be able to push the drop down because it's the same data source. It would then let me push it in. Instead, what I'm going to do, I'm going to hack this in. So I'm going to switch, and I'm going to switch on the call duration text, and I'm going to say if it equals all day, then I'm going to put in duration, because I now need to target the column, or the choice, sorry, the global choice that's related to that column. And then I'm going to do a dot, and I'm going to say all day. If it's AM, then I'm going to do duration choice dot AM, and if it's PM, then I'm going to do duration choice dot PM. I'm going to hack this in. It's not a terrible way to get it in there, but if you had 20 different choices, although with 20 you'd probably make a lookup, anything past 6 we usually recommend a lookup. For now this will work for me. We can look at a more intelligent solution in the future. Let's see if that now lets me load that in. Duration is also required. What's one's duration? Duration choice. Do we have some back-end fields here that we are? Let's go to our. So I've just loaded into our solutions here. One of the downsides to multiple developers, I suppose, is that I probably should have checked the schema first. So I'm now in my table and choices. We'll go into bookable resources. Let's have a look at columns. They've got duration in here too. What is duration? Duration's just a number, whole number, and we are technically placing in. Yeah, that's okay. We can do that. That's fine because I'm updating that as well. So if we then do duration, I can put col duration value, and let's see. We have success. Let's go back to our bookable resource bookings. Let's have a look in read-only grid. We've got some in. Perfect. So this was obviously a legacy one from December, so I'll just quickly delete that because it's not relevant. And let's have a look at the two that we just created. So we've got one in here. We've got the name. So we've got the date format with the client, with the project, and then we've also got the duration. So that looks good. We've got the start date and end date, which we haven't changed. And then we've also got the duration. Perfect, which is all day. So that's all worked. And if we have a look at the back into all fields, the duration, hopefully, oh no, I didn't want to add a bookmark. That was an accident. Let's remove that. I wanted Control F. Swapping from Mac to Windows. The duration is also put in there with 450, which is what we've got on our duration collection. 450 minutes, equivalent to 7.5 hours. Perfect. Right. Now, one thing that I certainly noticed as I was walking through the last 18 months when I've been using this, 12 to 18 months, is that whenever the time zone changes, or if you're in a different country, or for whatever reason you're not based on the UK time, the start and end times were always thrown off, and it took me ages to work out what the problem was. And if I'm +1 or +2 or sometimes +4, then all of a sudden I was submitting timesheets that were the day before because the time had been changed based on the time zone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a label. I'm going to start to account for that because I know that I need it, and I'm going to account for it early because we're going to change the start and end times. When the clocks change, we don't want to have to come back into the app. And in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a date diff where I do what I want to do, not just the difference. I also want to then, I'm going to take this value. I want the difference between the time zone of UTC and now with GMT, whichever one we are, and I want to have a value that I can then plus onto the start or minus from the end, etc. We'll get there. So I'm going to do a date diff. I don't want that in text though. I want a date diff, and I'm going to add to now. We use the now function, so I'm going to add into that, and then I'm going to take, utilizing what we call a time zone offset function, and close it off. I'm going to take the minutes, which then does my date add. So I'm going to basically say whatever is from now, I'm going to offset that with the minutes, I'm going to add that on. And then I'm going to do a difference between that and now, and I'm going to take that in minutes as well, which will then give me my answer, which makes sense because I'm in the right place. So there's nothing to add because I'm in the right time zone, so that's perfect. Now I don't really want it in minutes, so I am going to divide that by 60. I don't know what I just pressed there for that error. And I'm just going to put this into a sum as well, so that it takes that first and then gives me the answer afterwards. So I want all of this done before I do that BIDMAS or BODMAS, or whichever way you consider it. So we're going to do all of this, and then I'm going to divide it by 60. Now what this statement's going to allow me to do is it's going to, if I then jump to Qatar, we've got some work, and I start to do some resourcing, but I'm now 4 or 5 hours ahead, or 3 or 4 hours ahead, then this would then change to 3, which means I can then take that value and I can incorporate it into the sums that we're now going to do with our start and our end times. Perfect. So this means I've kind of assessed or addressed a problem early. Now let's just call that label time zone difference. So I know what it is, and we're going to go back to our patch statement. And we're going to work on these start dates and start times and end times. Now, for the start times and end times, when we're looking at this in a calendar view, so as we saw it in a calendar view here, if I was to look at this in a week or a day view, I want them to sit, I don't want them to sit just up here, I want them to sit between 9 and 5. So we need to play with these functions. Now, the start date. This needs to be in a switch statement because it might well be the all day, the AM or the PM, so we do need to do a switch statement here. So I'm going to switch based on call duration text, similar to what we've got down here with duration choice. And I'm going to say that if you are all day, then we are going to, from an all day, we're then going to date add into call date, where we do, because it starts at midnight or 00 or whatever I think it starts at. Let's just have a look at one of the records. Yeah, it starts at 12 AM. So we're going to add 9. So I'm adding 9 hours to that. So, oh, didn't mean to do that. I'm going to add 9 plus that value of the label time zone dot text. Because we've just done all of that to incorporate. If I'm somewhere else, then we need to make sure that that gets taken into account. And I'm going to add that in hours. Now if I close the switch statement off, that will then go back to normal. Perfect. And then what we also now need to do is we now need to say if it's AM, then we want to do all of the same. In fact, the start time is going to be exactly the same, so that statement is going to be the same. And then we're going to do PM. Now this is different. We're going to date add, fingers are everywhere. We're going to add now, we're going to add more now. So rather than 9, we're going to start at, I don't know, 12, 1. So 10, 11, 12, 10, 11, 12, 1. So let's, I don't know, let's just do 14 plus the value of that label. Now we need to wrap this time zone difference in a value, because at the moment you can't add a text field to a number field, so we're wrapping it in a value statement, put that into hours, and we finish that off. Now I can pretty much just take this and paste it, except from now what we're saying is when we do a date add, this is the end time, so now when we do a date add to the end date, we want the all day to finish at 5, which is, or 4, let's say, so I'm going to add 16 hours, so we finish at 4. And that AM is going to end at what, 12? I think that's fair. And then this one is going to end at 16. Plus those, then that goes in. Now if we just test that again on, let's say, a different run of dates, so we'll do, let's just change that to start on Monday, because that will annoy me otherwise. So let's just make this do start of the week. So I've selected the date field, there's a start of the week property, I'm going to make that be Monday. So I can now open that up. Monday's over here now. So if I do from the 9th and I do 2 days, I've got the 9th and the 10th, and I'm going to do an all day, and in fact I'll do 3 so we can see all of them. So I'll do an all day, an AM and a PM. And let's click load. That's fast. Too fast for my liking. Let's have a look in read-only grid. They're in there, that's fine. Let's just do newer to older so I can see them. So 4, 3, or 3, 4 and 5 have all gone in. Let's have a look at 3. This was my all day. So we've got 9 till 4. Pop this out. 3, 4, this was my AM, 9 till 12. Perfect. And hopefully 05, 2 till 4. So I'm a little bit off that one. So actually I need that to be 13 rather than 14. Bad maths from me there. Now, the only thing missing here then is from our piece is this booking status. Now we've got some statuses over here confirmed, so if I just add a new one in, say reserved, Save and close. I'm going to bring these into the app through the data source, add data, booking status. I'm going to bring them in. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to simply just put a drop down in and let's keep it easy for now. What I might do in the future is I might have them individually lined so I can confirm individually. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just have one to confirm the whole thing. But maybe in the next video we'll take that forward. Now what I'm going to do here for the items of this is I'm going to say that this is going to be I want booking. I can do that over here. I don't need to do it there. I'm going to have booking statuses, and I'm going to have name. Got reserved and confirmed, which means because we're populating a lookup, what I need to do here is link the booking status to the rename DD booking status, and because it's being pulled directly from the Dataverse table, whilst it's showing me the name, it understands there's a GUID behind it. Very, very similar to the account, although I've just realized none of these are linked to account. Do we have those columns loaded in on the table? Duration, reference, start. I'll fast forward that so you don't need to see it, but I'll fast forward the addition of the account and project column there. Booking status, so this is going to be DD booking status dot selected, and that should pick that up as a general. Let's see what happens. Let's just, no, it doesn't like it. That's fine. So we'll go dot booking status. It doesn't like that either. It's just messing with me. Let's just do another one here. Just do one, and we'll load that in. That definitely did not. Oh no, it might have worked because it was only one record. Show read only. Newer to older 06. We've got booking status reserved. Perfect. So I'm just going to fast forward the addition of some columns. I'm going to put the account and the project into this because we do need that in here. So I'll fast forward that quickly, and then that should draw us to an end. So let's just get this one done. I should be able to find account DD account dot selected and project DD project dot selected. Just to trial that, let's pick another date, one, blah blah blah, and load, and then back here. Number 7. Account and project, which then means that when we're in the accounts, as an example, and this is where the day rates and the booking profits, when we do some charts, I want to be able to see how much Contoso have spent with us over a specific period of time. Because we've now got these lookups in, and when we do the calculations next week, I can now, for example, go into Contoso, into related, and then I can see the bookings, stick that in a read-only grid. We'll put a calendar over that at some point, and then do all of the filtering that I need to do, export, blah blah. We can send some timesheets. So I think that will do for today. We're going to stop there now that we've got a basic patch statement in. I'll just bring that patch statement back up. But now that we've got this basic patch statement in, what we'll do next week is we'll start adding in the financials. So the day rates, the profits, based on the day rates, we need to assume that if it's an AM or a PM, the profit is then halved and the day rate is halved because you're only working half the day. We'll put that in next week, and then we'll take it further from there, perhaps with some calendars, some charts, and maybe even a timesheet entry app. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, then please do, so you're notified of the next video, and I'll see you in the next one.